What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I've talked a lot about my boat in previous videos. I wanted to actually come to the boat with you guys today because I need to do some maintenance on this. I need to change the gear lube in the Outdrives. Now, I have never done this myself. I've always had the Marina do it, but I recently started getting obsessed with Amsoil stuff, so I wanted to put some Amsoil in these things and kind of learn as I go along. I did do a lot of research on how to do this, so I'm just going to show you guys the process that I'm using to fill or empty out and refill my Mercruiser TRS Outdrives. These are old. These are not Bravos, but I think the idea is fairly similar. So first things first, we need to raise the drives because the drain plug is near the front of the drive, that we can get all the gear lube out. So like I said, first things first, let's lift these drives up and go from there. All right, so the drives are up, as you can see. These are Mercruiser TRS drives. They're very old. This boat's pretty old, 1988. The screw that we have to take out in order to drain these things is right here on the port side of each drive. I lifted them up so that all the fluid can get to that drain hole right there, so we can get as much fluid as possible out. Now, there's also a vent screw here that we have to take out as well. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to take the vent screw out first, as well as take the there's a reservoir inside and on the transom. We're going to take the cap off the reservoir, as well as take that vent screw off, and then we're going to take that screw on the bottom out to drain it, and hopefully that'll let it drain as quickly as possible. Then once it's fully drained, we will be using the Mercruiser pump, I guess. It kind of threads into that screw, and we just fill it up until the oil starts coming out of that vent, close it off, and then we'll add about, 3/4 of a quart to a full quart into the reservoir inside. Let's see how it goes. All right, so these are draining right now. I did the port one first. That's down to a slow drip. And then I did the starboard. This one's at a slightly less slow drip. Be careful if you have wind where you are. I'm right on the water, obviously, at the marina, so you really gotta, look at the mess I made on the cardboard here. That's why you gotta use cardboard, but the gust will take this gear lube really kind of far away from the drive, so I thought that I could just take the screw out and just let it sit, but I had to really kind of be very proactive in regards to catching this oil, so just be careful of that. But while that's continuing to drain, I wanted to show you what I will be putting in these drives and what I'll be using. I've been getting into a little bit obsessed with Amsoil recently, so I went with the Amsoil Marine Gear Lube 7590. These are the same thing, they're just in these, Amsoil has these like easy pouches. Doesn't really help with these drives because you have to use this pump here. Now this is a Mercruiser one, a Quicksilver one, so obviously it looks like the Amsoil cap is different. I think it still should work, and I believe Amsoil does have one for their size quart bottles, but I already had this, didn't want to waste the 15 bucks or whatever it was, so hopefully that works fine. Basically, you use this pump, you put this pump in the quart bottle, and then you use this piece here to thread into the drain plug on the bottom of the Outdrive, and you fill it from the bottom. Apparently it's very important to fill from the bottom to leave all air pockets out of the drive. Don't fill it from the top. A lot of people think they could do that, but they cannot. So let's continue to let that drain. Another thing as well, I have, apparently these drives take about 3 quarts in each one, and then plus another quart in the reservoir. I may be slightly short because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I have 7. So that's 7 quarts total, so 3.5 per drive. I may have been a little short in regards to this Marine Gear Lube, so I had this from when I did the front and rear differentials on my Jeep the other day, and it's almost full. I did call Amsoil. They have great customer service, great tech support, and they said that I could very easily use this to top off if needed. It's completely compatible. Apparently the only difference between the Marine Gear Lube and the regular Severe Gear is some sort of additive where it could take water a little bit better, but I've actually looked on offshore only and Facebook groups and stuff. The guys running like Big Power and like number 6 drives and stuff, a lot of them only use Severe Gear, not even the Marine Lube, in their drives with no problem. So just to top it off if needed, shouldn't have an issue whatsoever. So that's what we're putting in, and let's keep continue to drain as long as possible so we can get all the old stuff out and the new stuff, all this good Amsoil stuff in. While we're waiting for these drives to drain out, I figured I'd give you a look at the boat that I have here. Now this is a 38-foot 1988 Scarab Excel. Actually, this boat was my grandfather's. He bought it new here in at the Jersey Shore. It has been redone once over the years. You know, it's old. It's not that fast, but it sounds good, and I think it still looks pretty good too. It was repainted maybe 15 years ago, but that's even starting to show its age. Obviously, it's a lot of work, just like any boat, but especially a almost 40-foot one. I had to replace the, I took the old rub rail insert off because it was all red and mildewy and gross, so I started putting a new one, and that's the furthest I got. It was so much work. I was like, screw this, I'm gonna let the marina do it. So they're still taking care of that for me. Like I said, it does have TRS drives on the back, which are old dinosaurs but very bomb proof. I'm not pushing that much power in this thing, probably about 5 1/4 per side. They're old 454s. Engine compartment here, one, and here's the there's the cockpit area. I'll go up in there as well to show you the engines and stuff. Like I said, 454s, bored out to 468s back in the day. They've been rebuilt a bunch of times and built up a decent amount for a 454. Like I said, making about 5 1/4 per side. This one was actually rebuilt a couple of years ago. I actually blew the motor because the exhaust manifolds were old and leaking water into the cylinders, and hydrolocked the motor completely. Needed a whole new rebuild. That one's running really well. This one's still original. It's got all the paint flaking off and stuff, but it is still running. I obviously, once that happened, I replaced all these exhaust manifolds with new ones. But as you can see, it's pretty, you know, basic stuff. Carburetor, Holley carburetors. But you know, runs pretty well, knock on wood. And here's the cockpit area. We redid this a bunch of years ago. It's probably 15-20 years ago at this point. All gaff-free gauges back in the day. The old throttle controls and stuff here. And here's the boat could use some new upholstery as well. A little bit dated looking. Waiting on a new. I'm trying to figure out if I want to do a carpet or a marine mat. The marine mat's really nice, but it's also very, very expensive. And I just don't know if I want to drop $1,500 for a marine mat on a 35-year-old boat. I also figured I'd show you the cabin area as well. This was redone a long time ago. There used to be a lot of stuff in here, a sink and a fridge and a toilet, but none of it worked, and it had to be ripped out at some point. So very plain Jane, but it gets the job done. All right, guys, so I have been letting this drain for about 3 hours or so. I did bring the drives back down. Remember I told you I put them up to drain out of the front of the drive, but then I put it back down, and a little bit more came out, so I would definitely recommend doing that. I believe this is a better way to fill it up as well. So now I'm going to use that Mercruiser pump, thread it into the fill plug, and start pumping in new fluid. So as you can see here, this yellow piece threads right into the drain plug there without an issue. I did put 1 quart in already. It works just fine without fitting on the bigger top to the Amsoil bottle, and in my opinion anyway. Seems like it's going just fine. Another thing you need to do, by the way, is check, while you have these plugs out, check out the gaskets that you have in each plug. Obviously make sure those are all okay, because if they're not okay, you'll be letting water into your drive and you'll have big problems during the boating season. So that's another tip. It's a little annoying because you're so low to the ground here. I mean, I'm at the marina, but it would be really good if I had a chair or a small like roller creeper seat kind of thing. So if you have one of those, definitely use it. And yeah, let's finish filling this one up. I'm 2 quarts in. I'm onto my last quart. Right about 3 quarts. It should be starting to come out of this hole right here. Let's keep going. So I did put 3 quarts in, and it has not come out yet. So I'm gonna keep going until it comes out. All right, you could see that it just started coming out the fill hole. So I'm gonna plug this up. All right, now I filled up both of the drives. One took a little bit more than the other. One took about 3.5, honestly. The other one took right around 3. So now we just have to see that I took the dipstick out already, and for what it's worth, when I took it out, both sides were showing nothing. So we're just gonna top these off. First, I'm gonna check what's actually in there. Maybe I got some through to the reservoir through the drive, I'm gonna check what's in there first, but then I'll just top it off. I have been told to be very careful, don't overflow these things. It's more like an expansion tank than anything, so I will keep an eye on that. But yeah, just fill these up and you should be good to go changing your TRS drive gear lube. Now if you guys have any questions or comments or anything like that, if you want to see more videos about this boat, let me know in the comment section down below. But other than that, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.